What if I told you there's a story hidden in the shadows of ancient texts, a story so extraordinary, so chilling, that it was considered too dangerous to include in the Bible? What if this story involved colossal beings, secret histories, and a forgotten war between heaven and earth? The Book of Giants, an ancient manuscript tied to the biblical Apocrypha, reveals a tale that blurs the boundaries of myth, history, and divine intervention. But why was it excluded? And what secrets does it hold about the ancient world? Let's unravel this mystery together, diving deep into a narrative of rebellion, destruction, and forgotten giants. Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll never look at the ancient world or the Bible the same way again. The Book of Giants, a fragmentary and enigmatic text tied to the Dead Sea Scrolls, begins with a premise that stretches the imagination. It recounts the story of the Nephilim, the offspring of fallen angels and human women, briefly mentioned in Genesis chapter 6-4, which states, "There were giants in the earth in those days." These beings were not ordinary, they were larger than life, both literally and figuratively. Their existence, power, and eventual downfall create a narrative steeped in intrigue and terror. But why were these Nephilim and their story so controversial? To answer that, we must explore the backdrop of their origin. According to the apocryphal Book of Enoch, a group of angels, known as the Watchers, descended from heaven. Their mission was to guide and protect humanity, but something went terribly wrong. Consumed by lust and rebellion, they took human wives and fathered a race of giants. The Nephilim were extraordinary beings, but their existence tipped the balance of creation. Imagine a world dominated by these beings. Their immense size made them forces of destruction, and their appetites, both physical and moral, led to chaos. They devoured the earth's resources and brought suffering to humanity. The Book of Giants expands on this narrative, portraying the Nephilim as beings plagued by dreams of their impending doom. These dreams, vivid and terrifying, were seen as messages from the heavens. The giants, though powerful, could not escape the consequences of their actions. The fragments of the text suggest that two of the giants, named Oja and Mawe, were tormented by visions of destruction. These dreams were filled with floods and celestial retribution. Desperate to understand their fate, the giants turned to Enoch, a figure revered for his divine wisdom. They sought answers, but the truth was far from comforting. Enoch's revelations confirmed their worst fears. Their rebellion had sealed their doom. Let's pause for a moment. Why would a text like this be deemed dangerous? The Book of Giants doesn't just recount the sins of fallen angels and their offspring, serves as a warning. It speaks of the consequences of pride, rebellion, and the breaking of divine law. But it also delves into themes that are deeply unsettling. The idea of humanity caught in the crossfire of a celestial war, and the existence of beings beyond our comprehension. Returning to the narrative, Enoch's role is pivotal. As the mediator between heaven and earth, he acts as a messenger of judgment. According to the text, Enoch delivered a chilling prophecy. The Nephilim, along with the Watchers, would be wiped out by a great deluge. This prophecy aligns with the story of Noah's flood in the Biblia, divine act to cleanse the earth of corruption. Here's where things take an even darker turn. The giants, realizing their doom, attempted to plead with God. They sent Moe on a desperate mission to the heavens, carrying a tablet inscribed with their appeal for mercy. This act of defiance, seeking forgiveness while refusing to change their ways, underscores the tragic nature of their story. They were beings trapped by their own nature, unable to escape their fates. But the heavens remained silent. The judgment was final, and the flood came, sweeping away the giants and their corrupting influence. Their story, however, didn't end there. The Book of Giants suggests that the spirits of these Nephilim lingered, becoming what later texts would call demons, restless, malevolent entities seeking to influence the world. Now, let's step back and reflect. The Book of Giants wasn't included in the biblical canon, and for good reason. Its themes of rebellion, destruction, and divine retribution were considered too controversial, too unsettling. The early church sought to provide a cohesive and uplifting message, and this text didn't align with that vision. Yet, its echoes remain. The Nephilim are mentioned in Genesis, and their legacy is hinted at throughout the Bible. So, what can we learn from this forbidden text? Perhaps it's a cautionary tale about the dangers of hubris and the consequences of breaking divine law. Or maybe it's a reminder of the mysteries that lie hidden in the shadows of history, waiting to be uncovered. The Book of Giants challenges us to look beyond the familiar, to question what we know about the ancient world and our place in it. It's a story of giants, yes, but also of humanity, of our struggles, our fears, and our search for redemption. And now, I ask you, what do you think lies hidden in the pages of forgotten texts like this one? Are they mere myths, or do they hold truths we're not yet ready to face? The Book of Giants may be forbidden, but its story continues to captivate, provoke, and inspire those who dare to explore its mysteries. To truly grasp the significance of the Book of Giants, we need to dive deeper into its connections with other ancient texts and explore its broader implications. This isn't just a story of destruction, it's a glimpse into a cosmic struggle that spans heaven and earth. The narrative forces us to ask, how much of this story has been deliberately obscured, and why? The Nephilim, central to this narrative, are shrouded in mystery. Their very existence raises questions about the nature of creation and the boundaries set by God. In the canonical Bible, the mention of these giants is brief, almost cryptic. Genesis 6:1-4 tells us about the sons of God, who saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful and took them as wives, resulting in the birth of these mighty beings. But this short passage barely scratches the surface of their significance. The Book of Giants picks up where the Bible leaves off, offering a detailed account of these beings' lives, struggles, and ultimate downfall. It paints a vivid picture of a world dominated by chaos, where the Nephilim consumed resources, exploited humanity, and turned the earth into a place of violence and despair. The text portrays them not just as physical giants, but as beings whose very existence represented a spiritual corruption, a blurring of the lines between the divine and the mortal. But here's the intriguing part. The giants weren't ignorant of their fate. The dreams that plagued them were more than just omens. They were a direct communication of their impending judgment. According to fragments of the Book of Giants, one of the most vivid dreams involved a large tree that was uprooted entirely, leaving only a stump. The tree, a symbol of their power and dominion, was to be destroyed. These dreams weren't just unsettling, they were a stark reminder of the fragility of their dominance. Let's examine Moe's role in this story. He wasn't just any giant. He was their emissary, chosen to carry their plea to the heavens. His journey, as described in the text, is both symbolic and tragic. Moe's ascent is a desperate act, a futile attempt to bridge the unbridgeable gap between the fallen and the divine. His mission highlights the giants' recognition of their mistakes, but also their inability or unwillingness to truly repent. Their plea, written on a tablet, reflects their anguish and desperation, but it also reveals their arrogance. They sought forgiveness without accountability, mercy without transformation. The heavens' silence in response to their plea is deafening. It underscores the severity of their rebellion and the irreversible nature of their actions. This silence, however, is not the end of the story. The flood that follows is a direct consequence of their corruption, a divine act to restore balance to a broken world. Now, let's consider the implications of this story. The Book of Giants isn't just about the Nephilims, about humanity's role in a cosmic drama. The giant's story is a mirror, reflecting our own struggles with pride, temptation, and the consequences of our actions. Their downfall serves as a warning, reminding us of the dangers of overstepping our bounds and ignoring divine order. But there's more. The aftermath of the flood, as hinted at in the Book of Giants, suggests that the story of the Nephilim didn't end with their physical destruction. Their spirits, according to later interpretations, became the demons that continued to influence the world. This idea connects the Book of Giants to other ancient texts, such as the Book of Enoch and even parts of the New Testament, where demonic activity is linked to the Nephilim's legacy. Let's take a moment to connect this to the broader biblical narrative. In the New Testament, Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Could these spiritual forces be the remnants of the Nephilim's influence? The Book of Giants suggests that the ripple effects of their rebellion continue to impact the spiritual realm. This connection between ancient texts and the Bible raises another question. Why was the Book of Giants excluded from the biblical canon? The early church had to make difficult decisions about which texts to include. Guided by the need for coherence and theological clarity, the Book of Giants, with its detailed accounts of rebellion and destruction, likely presented a narrative that was too complex and controversial for widespread inclusion. Yet, its exclusion doesn't diminish its significance. If anything, it amplifies its mystique, making it a subject of fascination for scholars, theologians, and seekers of truth. The rediscovery of the Book of Giants among the Dead Sea Scrolls in the mid-20th century reignited interest in its story. These fragments, written in Aramaic, provide a tantalizing glimpse into a world long forgotten. They remind us of the richness and diversity of ancient thought, challenging us to rethink our understanding of biblical history and theology. As we near the conclusion of this narrative, it's worth pondering the broader themes of the Book of Giants. At its core, it's a story of rebellion, judgment, and redemption or the lack thereof. It's a tale that resonates across time, speaking to the human condition and our eternal struggle between light and darkness. But this story also leaves us with unanswered questions. What other truths might be hidden in ancient texts, waiting to be discovered? How much of our history has been lost or deliberately suppressed? And most importantly, what lessons can we learn from the giants' downfall? The Book of Giants may be a forbidden text, but its story continues to echo through the ages. It challenges us to look beyond the surface, to question the narratives we've been told, and to seek deeper truths about the nature of the divine, the human, and the extraordinary beings that once walked the earth. So, as we close this chapter, I leave you with this thought. The giants may be gone, but their story remains, and perhaps their legacy is closer to us than we dare to imagine. The story of the Book of Giants doesn't simply end with the flood, or even with the supposed extinction of the Nephilim. In fact, its echoes ripple through various cultures, myths, and even modern interpretations of ancient mysteries. To fully appreciate the weight of this narrative, we must explore the larger implications and the shadow it casts over biblical and non-biblical traditions alike. Many ancient civilizations share stories of giant beings, creatures of immense size and power, often portrayed as both protectors and destroyers. From the titans of Greek mythology to the Rakshasas of Hindu epics, the concept of giants transcends geography and culture. Could these myths be distant reflections of the same events described in the Book of Giants? Some scholars argue that these accounts may stem from shared memories of real events, passed down and transformed by different cultures over millennia. But let's bring the focus back to the Bible. While the Book of Giants is not canonical, the idea of giants, or Nephilim, is not entirely absent from Scripture. Apart from their brief mention in Genesis chapter 6, they reappear in the narrative of the Israelites' journey to the Promised Land in Numbers 13:33. The spies sent by Moses describe encountering the descendants of Enoch, who were like giants, and in comparison, they felt like grasshoppers. This description raises a critical question. If the Nephilim were destroyed in the flood, how could their descendants exist afterward? Some interpretations suggest that their lineage might have survived through a second rebellion, or that their legacy persisted in different forms. Others believe this passage could refer to a different group of giants, whose origins remain shrouded in mystery. Either way, these accounts add another layer of complexity to the story, suggesting that the giants' influence was far-reaching and enduring. The spiritual implications of the Book of Giants are equally profound. If we accept the premise that the spirits of the Nephilim became the demons described in later texts, it transforms how we understand spiritual warfare. These malevolent forces are portrayed not merely as abstract entities but as remnants of a defiant race, eternally seeking to disrupt God's creation. This interpretation aligns with passages like Matthew 12:43-45, where Jesus speaks of unclean spirits wandering through arid places, seeking rest but finding none. And yet, the Book of Giants also highlights a tension within the narrative. Despite their rebellion, the giants were not portrayed as entirely evil. Their dreams and their plea for mercy reveal a glimmer of humanity, a recognition of their wrongs, and a desire for redemption. This duality makes their story all the more tragic. They were beings caught between two worlds, unable to fully belong to either, and ultimately crushed by the weight of their transgressions. Now, let's consider the deliberate exclusion of this text from the Bible. The early church's decision to canonize certain books and exclude others was not arbitrary. It was guided by theological, historical, and practical considerations. The Book of Giants, with its vivid depictions of celestial rebellion and giant offspring, likely raised questions about its compatibility with the broader message of Scripture. Its themes of cosmic judgment and otherworldly beings might have been deemed too esoteric or distracting for the emerging Christian doctrine. However, this exclusion also invites speculation. Did the Church suppress certain texts to maintain a specific narrative? Were these stories seen as too dangerous, too provocative, or too revealing? The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls has reignited these debates, showing us that the biblical world was far more diverse in thought and tradition than we often realize. As we piece together the fragments of the Book of Giants, we are left with a haunting yet compelling narrative. It's a story of power and pride, of beings who sought to transcend their limitations, but fell victim to their own hubris. It's a tale of divine justice, but also of unanswered questions about the nature of creation and the boundaries between the human and the divine. What makes this story resonate so deeply is its timeless relevance. The giants, in many ways, symbolize the consequences of unchecked ambition and the dangers of breaking divine order. Their story serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the fragile balance that sustains creation and the perils of straying too far from it. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Book of Giants lies in its ability to provoke thought and ignite curiosity. It challenges us to consider the hidden dimensions of our history, to question the boundaries of myth and reality, and to seek deeper truths about the world we inhabit. So, as we conclude this exploration, the story of the Book of Giants leaves us with a paradox. It's a narrative that is both ancient and timeless, forgotten yet unforgettable. And though it may be a forbidden text, its echoes remind us that the past is never truly buried. It lives in fragments, in whispers, and in the questions it leaves behind. And now, as we reflect on the giants' rise and fall, I leave you with this. If such beings once walked the earth, what other mysteries might be hidden in the shadows of our history? And are we ready to confront the truths they reveal? The answers, like the giants themselves, may be larger than we can imagine. As the story of the Book of Giants unfolds, one thing becomes clear. This ancient narrative is not just about the Nephilim, their rebellion, and their eventual destruction. It is about the human condition and our perpetual quest to understand the mysteries of the divine. The giants, though larger-than-life figures, mirror humanity's struggles with pride, defiance, and the desire to transcend limitations. Their fate offers a powerful reminder of the consequences of stepping outside divine boundaries. Yet, the Book of Giants doesn't merely serve as a cautionary tale. It also invites us to consider the theological and philosophical questions it raises. If such beings once existed, what was their role in the divine plan? Were they merely a byproduct of rebellion, or did they serve a purpose we have yet to comprehend? These questions linger, challenging our understanding of creation and the complexities of the spiritual realm. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Book of Giants is the way it intersects with other ancient traditions. The giant story is not isolated. It is part of a broader tapestry that connects various cultures and religions. In Mesopotamian mythology, for example, the tale of the Apkalua group of divine sages, who were both revered and feared, bears striking similarities to the Watchers and their offspring. These beings were said to possess immense knowledge and power, but their legacy became tainted by rebellion and hubris. Likewise, in Norse mythology, the Jotnar, or frost giants, play a pivotal role in the cosmic balance between order and chaos. These beings, often depicted as adversaries of the gods, embody the tensions that arise when boundaries are crossed and natural laws are disrupted. Could these myths, scattered across time and geography, reflect a shared memory of the same events described in the Book of Giants? The similarities between these stories suggest that the Giants' narrative is not merely a biblical phenomenon, but part of a universal archetype. This raises profound questions about the nature of myth and its relationship to history. Are these stories symbolic representations of spiritual truths, or do they hint at actual events that have been obscured over time? The Book of Giants forces us to grapple with these possibilities, blurring the lines between myth, history, and theology. The implications of the giants' existence also extend to the nature of evil and its origins. If the Nephilim spirits became the demons described in later texts, their story provides a framework for understanding the ongoing struggle between good and evil. These malevolent forces, born of rebellion and pride, continue to influence humanity, serving as a constant reminder of the consequences of defying divine will. This interpretation resonates with passages like 1 Peter 5-8, which warns, "Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour." But the Book of Giants also challenges us to consider the possibility of redemption. The giants' plea for mercy, though ultimately unanswered, reflects a universal longing for forgiveness and reconciliation. Their story is a poignant reminder that even in the depths of rebellion, there is a desire for grace, a desire that, in the biblical narrative, is ultimately fulfilled through Christ. While the giants' fate was sealed, their story underscores the importance of repentance and the hope that redemption offers to humanity. As we delve deeper into the implications of the Book of Giants, it's impossible to ignore the broader questions it raises about the nature of the biblical canon. Why were certain texts included while others were excluded? What criteria were used to determine which stories were deemed divinely inspired? These questions have fueled centuries of debate among scholars, theologians, and laypeople alike. The Book of Giants reminds us that the biblical canon is not a static or monolithic entity. It is the product of a complex process of discernment, shaped by historical, theological, and cultural factors. The exclusion of texts, like the Book of Giants, does not diminish their value or significance. Rather, it highlights the diversity of thought and tradition that characterized the early biblical world. The rediscovery of the Book of Giants among the Dead Sea Scrolls offers a unique opportunity to revisit these questions. These ancient fragments provide a glimpse into the richness and complexity of early Jewish thought, challenging us to expand our understanding of the biblical narrative. They invite us to engage with the text not as a closed and finished story, but as a living tradition that continues to inspire and provoke thought. As we draw closer to the end of this exploration, The story of the Book of Giants leaves us with a profound sense of wonder and curiosity. It is a story that defies easy categorization, a blend of history, mythology, and theology that speaks to the deepest questions of human existence. Its themes of rebellion, judgment, and redemption resonate across time, reminding us of the fragile balance that sustains creation and the consequences of disrupting that balance. And yet, the Book of Giants is more than just an ancient text. It is a mirror that reflects our own struggles and aspirations. It challenges us to confront our own pride and defiance, to recognize the limits of our understanding, and to seek the wisdom and guidance of the divine. So, as we close this chapter, I leave you with one final thought. The giant's story may be ancient, but its lessons are timeless. Their rise and fall, their dreams and fears, their plea for mercy, all of these elements speak to the universal human experience. The Book of Giants may be a forbidden text, but its message continues to resonate, inviting us to look beyond the surface and seek the deeper truths that lie hidden in the shadows of history. What other mysteries might the ancient world hold? And are we ready to face the answers they reveal? Perhaps the giant's story is not just about the past. It's a reminder of the questions we must continue to ask as we seek to understand our place in the grand design of creation. As the final echoes of the Book of Giants resonate through history, we're left standing on the threshold of profound mysteries. This ancient, fragmented text isn't merely a story of the Nephilim, the Watchers, or a catastrophic flood. A lens through which we glimpse the complexities of divine order, human rebellion, and the eternal struggle between creation and corruption. Its lessons, though rooted in an ancient world, transcend time, urging us to reflect on our own existence and choices. The giant's story is, at its core, a tragedy. Born from the union of fallen angels and humans, their very existence was a violation of divine law. Yet, their dreams of destruction and their desperate plea for mercy reveal a deeper layer to their narrative. They were not entirely devoid of conscience. These were beings capable of understanding the weight of their actions, even if they were unable or unwilling to change. Their duality, their mix of immense power and tragic vulnerability, transforms them from mere villains into figures of complex sorrow. The flood that eradicated them was not just a punishment, it was a reset. According to the biblical narrative, the deluge cleansed the earth of corruption, giving humanity a second chance to live in harmony with God's design. But the giants' legacy didn't end with their physical destruction. Their spirits, lingering and restless, continued to influence the world, becoming part of the unseen forces of darkness described in later scriptures. Their transformation into what some interpret as demons underscores the lasting impact of their rebellion. This notion that rebellion against divine law has eternal consequences is a central theme not only of the Book of Giants, but of the broader biblical story. From Adam and Eve's disobedience in the Garden of Eden to the Watcher's fall from grace, the Bible is filled with narratives that explore the tension between free will and divine order. The giant's story fits seamlessly into this tradition, serving as both a cautionary tale and a profound theological reflection. But the Book of Giants is not merely a tale of judgment and destruction. It is also a story of divine justice and the restoration of balance. The flood, though catastrophic, was an act of mercy for humanity, removing the corrupting influence of the Nephilim and the Watchers. It was a reminder that while God's patience is immense, His justice is inevitable. This balance between mercy and judgment is a theme that reverberates throughout the Bible, culminating in the ultimate act of redemption through Christ. The rediscovery of the Book of Giants in the Dead Sea Scrolls reminds us of the vastness of the ancient world and the diversity of its theological traditions. These fragments offer a glimpse into a time when the boundaries between myth, history, and theology were fluid, and stories like that of the giants carried profound spiritual and moral significance. Their exclusion from the biblical canon does not diminish their value. Rather, it highlights the complexity of the biblical tradition and the challenges of preserving its core message. As we conclude this journey through the Book of Giants, it's worth considering what this ancient text means for us today. In a world that often feels chaotic and unbalanced, the Giants' story serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of pride, rebellion, and overreach. It calls us to humility, to recognize the limits of our understanding and the importance of living in harmony with divine law. But the story also invites us to ask deeper questions about the mysteries of creation and the unseen forces that shape our world. Are there truths hidden in ancient texts like the Book of Giants that we have yet to uncover? And what might they reveal about our past, our present, and our future? The giants may be gone, their voices reduced to fragments and whispers, but their story endures. It endures in the echoes of ancient texts, in the myths and legends of cultures across the globe, and in the questions it compels us to ask. It reminds us that history is never truly lost. It is preserved in the memories of humanity, waiting to be rediscovered. And so, as we close the chapter on the Book of Giants, we do so not with a sense of finality, but with an invitation to explore further. What other forgotten stories might the past hold? What other truths lie hidden, waiting to be revealed? The answers, as with the giants themselves, may be far larger than we can imagine. In the end, the Book of Giants is more than just a tale of destruction. It is a testament to the enduring power of stories, to illuminate the mysteries of existence, to challenge our understanding of the world, and to remind us of the eternal struggle between light and darkness. And perhaps, in these ancient fragments, we find not only the story of the giants, but also a reflection of our own.